Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, JBFlintlock. Today we're at the range at my local club and I brought my big gun, my 58 caliber bench rifle, and I'm going to be shooting it here today. When it comes to ideal weather conditions for bench shooting, this isn't it. So today is 80 degrees, which is fine, but we have 10 to 20 mile an hour winds. Not really ideal conditions, but I wanted to make this video in a quick follow-up to my last video when I was just in my driveway and going through, you know, the process of how I do it. So there was a lot of interest. The video did great. I'm super excited about that. So I wanted to make a video where I do live fire. Now, I'm going to be out here for a while shooting some practice. What I'm going to do is step back here. I'm going to walk you through maybe a shot or two, and then I'm just going to speed things up so that you get to see more shots. Hopefully we don't run out of light and we have enough camera battery to make this all come together. So I'm going to step back to the bench here. And so right now I have the gun in the ready position. I snapped a couple caps. I'm just going to run a clean patch down through, make sure everything's good. It is. So then I'm going to start the loading process. I'm going to place the drop tube in. I'm shooting 176 grains of 1.5 Swiss. So I'm going to dump the powder in, put my test tube back in the holder, give it a tap to make sure everything comes out. And then I forgot. Okay, sorry about that. We're back. So I forgot to get my patch material out. So I had already put powder in. So now what I'm going to do is keeping my patch material running in this direction. So I'm going to leave the tag end come down this way for the duration of my shooting. So it always is going to run the same direction. I'm going to place it, sprue up the ball, and then I'm going to short start it. And then I use a straight razor. I like the way that it works. It does a nice job. I'm just going to trim off the excess patch material, place it up here, and then in comes the heavy ramrod. And in as smooth a motion as I can make it, I'm going to push this ball down to an even amount of pressure on the charge. I'm going to remove the false muzzle and leave it on the deck, and I'm going to put the gun up on the bench. Now before I do that, I got to turn my GoPro on. So I'm going to pause right here. So what I'm going to do now is I forgot to raise the bench and get it set before I loaded. So I'm just going to get on the gun, and I'm low. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this up. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to lock it in place there. Okay, so next step is I'm going to get a cap out of the tin. If I can open, there we go. And I'm going to place it inside of the handle with the dish up. And then I'm going to place it into the gun, quarter turn to lock it in. Now I'm ready to fire. So what I'm going to do is watch the wind flags here for a few minutes. I've been keeping an eye on them. I've had pretty good pretty good wind. It's actually died down a little bit, but I'm going to try and pick a wind and shoot, and that is going to be my wind for this, essentially this relay, or this group of targets. So when I feel like the wind is satisfactory, I'm going to go ahead and fire, and then hopefully we'll get to see the results. Okay, so my height was good. I was just directly at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to come over. That's the way the wind is pushing. I'm going to come over a few clicks. Now, I'm not going to try and sight in off the very first shot, but I can tell that I'm off far enough that I'm going to need some clicks with the wind, because that's the way we're pushing. So on my Redfield Internationals, these are Mark 8s, so they're 8-minute clicks. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take a look. We're probably 1.5 to 2 inches at 50 yards. Okay, so I'm going to decap here. And come back up and start it all over again. So I'm going to start with a cleaning patch. Get it nice and clean. Well, I don't want to say nice and clean. After your first shot, it's always kind of the same stage of dirty. So until you're at the very end, then you can clean it well. So there's a trash can right there. I'm not throwing it on the ground. So back to the drop tube and the powder. Give it a little tap. Patch material, I'm going to leave the tag end towards me. I'm going to move over, sprue up. We're going to do short starter. Again, this is a 58 caliber with a 5.95 ball and 20 thousandths Teflon. So it's oversized, but it, as you can see, I'm using 2 hands to push the ball down, but it's not excessive, you know what I mean? Give it a little crunch on the bottom. Take the false muzzle off, back to the bench. So hopefully the wind conditions will stay the same as the last shot. That's always what us bench guys are hoping for. Lock the sealed ignition in. Now I keep my spotting scope right here close to me. I like to be able to reference back and forth between shots and just get my mind right before I take the next shot. So I'm on the 6 bull. I'm going to stay in the practice bull for right now until I kind of get sighted in. Just keep in mind, when I travel, I take these sights on and off every time. Even though they index pretty well, there's no guarantees that they're going to shoot or they're going to be in the same spot every time. Conditions, lighting, everything like that changes. So I basically sight in every time I get the gun out. I'm going to go ahead and decap now. Okay, so that one's a little high left. We're going to walk that right in. No big deal. Yep. Okay, back up. We're going to give it another go. So this is basically just a repetition of the process. False muzzle goes back on, back to cleaning. And like I say, I want to try and be as consistent with everything that I'm doing. So the amount of lubricant or cleaning solution I put on the patch to clean, I want to try and, do the best I can. Be consistent. Okay, so the wind kind of went slack on me there. So I just want it to be consistent. We're going to give it a second and see if it comes back around. Okay, so that one went through the same hole as the first one. Hopefully that shows up well on the GoPro. So we did make a sight adjustment. I would have expected it to move a little bit, but it didn't. It's back in the original hole. Or back in the second hole, I should say. So we're just going to run through it again, see what we get. So you can see that this process can go fairly quick. It's more about the patience of waiting on the wind. If I had a day where I had all afternoon to shoot, or those sorts of things, I might be a little more particular about my wind and my lighting. But for today, I want to get some shots in there and really showcase, what this is all about, but at the same time, do it before we run out of light. I'm going to give it 2 more down just to try and take care of that height issue. Okay, so we took care of my height, but the wind is pushing that direction pretty hard, so we're fighting that. So I'm happy with my height on that last one. I think we're pretty good there. I'm going to wait for the wind. I'm not going to make a sight adjustment this shot. I'm going to wait on the wind to cooperate, and then I think we're going to be pretty close. So I'm watching through my left eye. Sometimes I pick my head up, but I try and stay ready on the gun, and I'm watching through my left eye the flags, and my right, my dominant eye, is watching the target. Talking and doing this isn't very conducive to good groups either. So the wind just flipped. If I were to shoot, now with a wind flip, it would probably put me to the 9 o'clock side of the bowl. With this wind, it'd probably put me at least into the 9 ring on the opposite side of where I'm trying to go to. So I'm just waiting out that wind. Okay, so we're back to, the wind's coming back around to the direction that we started. Okay, so that's a 10. A hair high, but a 10. So I'll take that. I'm going to move on to a 5-shot group here. And we're going to see what we can score on this 6 bowl for this day. So I think we're ready. Ordinarily, you know, time depending on what I was doing, if I took a relay to sight in, I would keep going and practice some more. But given what we're doing here today, I'm interested to see. Now, I'm not going to make any sight adjustment on the next one unless the wind kicks back up. So one thing that I do as I'm going through the process is I keep an eye on the wind during between relays and between shots. So I'll just take a peek up every now and again as I'm going through and loading and seeing just what the wind's doing. If it's real irregular, then I don't get in a big hurry. But if it's my wind and I like it, I'm going to stick with it. And so I'll might move a little faster to try and get my shots in before the wind does something funny again, or the light. The light can play a big part too. So if it's sunny and then all of a sudden the clouds come in, you know, you're going to see a change in your group or in your shot. That's just kind of the nature of the peep sights and everything we have going on. Your perspective of how you're looking at things can change with the lighting. So yeah, we're going to move on to the top bowl, top row rather, middle bowl. So now I have 2 flags facing one direction and the other one the opposite direction. So I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm going to wait it out. Unfortunately, they don't cancel each other out. If one is going one direction and the other is going the other, does not mean they cancel themselves out. So we're cutting into the 10, a little on the left side. Might make it. Might not. That's a good 10. Yeah, I'll take that one. Okay, dropped one. Another 9. Cutting into the 10 pretty heavy, but not enough. That looks like a good one to me. I'll take it. Hopefully the GoPro's still alive down there and recording this. If not, we're going to take a visit down there when I'm all done. One more shot. That's probably all we're going to have camera lighting for. And I think that'll be it for this practice session today. Okay, that one wind might have pushed me a little to the left. I wasn't patient enough. Still not a bad shot cutting into the 10. I'll take it. Okay, so that's going to be everything for today. Let's take a look downrange. Hopefully the GoPro was still working. If not, let's take a walk down and have a look. So here we have the target. Looks like it's a 47, maybe a 48 and 1X. So I'll take it. It's not too bad of a target, all things considered. The wind was not too cooperative. You can see there it's flipping back and forth. Pretty good wind going on. Okay, so that was day at the range with Boomer. So Boomer is what I call the gun. I name all my guns mostly because it amuses me. But so my other big bench gun is called Big Hoss. This is Boomer. I have a couple offhand guns that I named. But anyhow, so I hope you got a good overview of what heavy bench rest shooting is. You know, obviously I would like to have done this and shot a 50 and 5X for you guys, but the reality is those don't come along every day. But we had a good practice session. So I'm going to get to cleaning the gun and get it prepped for the next one. So you want to look out for a little bit later in the summer. We're going to do 100 yards. So this was 50 yards, and I'm gonna pick a good day and do 100 yards and really kind of show off what the gun's capable of. So stay tuned for that video. Definitely hit the subscribe button. You can also reach out to me through the comments section of YouTube, through Facebook, Instagram, or on my website. All right, thanks, and we'll see you on the range.